So back to Toronto. So the reason we want to focus on Yoga Swami, there's a very large Saivite community there in Toronto, and we wanted to talk about Saiva Siddhanta and use Yoga Swami as an example, both in terms of how he lived Saiva Siddhanta as well as how he taught Saiva Siddhanta. Because he's an excellent example of a Siva Bhaktar and a Siva Yogi at the same time, in the same person. He's a great devotee of Lord Shiva, has tremendous devotion for Lord Shiva. He's also a great yogi, someone who can meditate profoundly. So this particular combination of devotion and meditation that Gurudeva was talking about also is pretty much unique to the path of Saiva Siddhanta. And the other Hindu traditions usually emphasize just one or the other. Either it's important to be a great bhaktar, a great devotee, or it's important to be able to meditate profoundly and worship internally. However, Saiva Siddhanta requires both of us, not just one or the other. In fact, deep devotion to God is considered a prerequisite to meditation, meaning profound meditation. It's not that we can't sit and have a simple meditation if we don't have a lot of devotion, but it's rather if we're really serious about meditation and want to make good progress, really go into the depths of ourselves, first we have to cultivate devotion. So Saiva Siddhanta, as most of us know, but I'll mention it anyway because some of us aren't familiar with the terms, describes the spiritual path in 4 progressive stages. First one is charya, virtuous conduct and selfless service. Kriya, devotional practices. Yoga, which is meditation. And jnana, which is enlightened wisdom. So I'll read just Gurudeva's statement about the relationship between devotion and yoga from Dancing with Shiva. Hinduism demands deep devotion through bhakti yoga in the Kriya Pada, softening the intellect and unfolding love. So that's the outcome of the Kriya Pada, or the practice of devotion that softens our intellect and helps us have a deep love. Yoga, union, is the process of uniting with God within oneself, a stage arrived at through perfecting charya and kriya. So as we mentioned, Siva Yoga Swami exemplified these teachings in his life. He's certainly a great yogi, and he'd sit for hours at a time, and during some periods of his life he would sit for days at a time in deep meditation. A real profound meditator. He also has the knack of, just like Gurudeva, of explaining profound metaphysical, spiritual concepts in very simple language. It's one of the beauties of Gurudeva's teachings. Doesn't use a lot of complex terminology. It's very simple. Life is meant to be lived joyously. Can't mistake that, what it means. So, Yoga Swami has one of these statements, and it's called a Mahavakyam. There's 4 of his statements that are so considered great sayings, his core teachings. This one is in Tamil, Summa Iru, something parents say to their children all the time, be quiet. Be quiet. So it has a very practical sense because it's just something That's part of life, Parents are telling children, be quiet. Teachers are telling students, be quiet. Yoga Swami is telling Saivites, be quiet. So it's so simple, but yet it's so profound also. And that's a wonderful part of his teachings, Gurudeva's teachings, and the parampara. In fact, this teaching is so central. There's a center, the Sivathonda Nilayam on KKS Road in Jaffna, 2-story building. So downstairs is where most of the activities take place. That's where you sing and you eat, you talk. Upstairs, silence only. The whole second story of the building, you're supposed to be quiet. Even when Guru Puja is done there, there's no bell. No bell at all. It's quiet. So the building itself, when you're upstairs, you're quiet, be still. When you're downstairs, you don't have to be still. So it's symbolic, as we'll see. So I just pulled out of an old book, it's very old, some notes on from Yoga Swami's sayings, combining the various sayings from words of our master on being still. "11 different sayings. Practice remaining summa for 10 minutes. So that's like just taking 10 minutes time to, after a puja, find a quiet place and sit and worship Shiva inside. That's the idea. Practice remaining summa for 10 minutes. Without remaining summa, the mind is running here and there. That is its nature. Remaining summa is the best exercise. On the highest level, you do not have to control even the mind, because to control the mind, there must be a second. There will come a time when the mind becomes quiet by itself. So that's a nice insight into what stillness is. When we just quiet down the mind, stillness is there. It's just that the mind is an activity that covers up our inner stillness. The Atma, the soul, is summa. Movement is for the body and mind. Bliss will come if you remain summa. If you remain summa, the sound of voices outside will not reach you. When you come down, you can see the world. Here's another statement which is similar. He says, talks about like you have guests downstairs and nobody's upstairs in your house. He says, just go upstairs and be quiet. And then when you're done, come back downstairs. So this is the same idea. Come down, you can see the world. You sing and learn because you are unable to remain summa. Sounds like Gurudeva there. Small scolding. There is nothing to know. Remain summa. And the last one. Meditation is silence. So as we focused on in our meditation, breathing is very important. Regulating the breath. So the breathing that Sayan Swami asked us to do is 9 counts in, hold 2, 9 counts out, hold 2. So that's a regulated breath. The in and the out breath are the same length. So regulating the breath is the common practice for quieting down the thinking mind. So if you're sitting down and you're trying to meditate, you need to regulate the breath. And if still the mind is running wild, keep going. Regulate the breath some more, and eventually it will quiet down. So the regulated breath has the ability to quiet the mind and help us experience the state of suma iru, being still.